Today we're tuning Austin's 2017 STI. We are currently filling it full of E98 to try to get the ethanol content at least up over E70 before we start tuning it on ethanol. It's a flex fuel setup, hoping for 45-ish pounds of boost and 800 wheel horsepower.
As it said, quarter tank, almost a quarter tank, and only 5 liters came out. So we'll have one jerry can full of mix, which we can throw in after for testing on the road with, you know, E60 or something like that. But for now, we'll get it up as close to E85 as we can. So we'll pump that E98 through, which should help sweep through any pump fuel that's left in there. Then we'll probably put another 20 liters of E98 in there and see where we end up. I'd like it to be at least E75 to E85 range would be ideal. And it should be somewhere close to where we want to be. Definitely ethanol coming out of the lines now. So pretty much what we're doing here is we need to tune it on both pump fuel and ethanol, and then I like testing it on the mixes in between after the fact. And we've already tuned it up on pump gas, all the steady state tuning, cold start, drivability, Excel Enrich, all that kind of stuff. We've done the wide open throttle, and on wastegate boost or 20 psi it made 540 wheel horsepower. And now that we're happy with all that, we're swapping it over to E85. And because there's always a bit left over in the tank even after you pump the tank dry, we pump the tank, whatever's left in there, into a jerry can, and then I always pour a little bit of E85 in it and pump that out because it mixes in with whatever's left in the bottom of the tank, you know, 10 liters maybe. And then we fill it up with E98, and hopefully at that point we're somewhere around E85. So then we can start testing it on E85. One nice thing that we're able to do today is because he's equipped with that CAN keypad and we have a pump override, we can just manually turn the pump on his keypad to pump the tank, which is something that he wanted as a feature as well. It's going to make his life easier if he's deciding to swap it over. You can run any mix in between E85, E60, E40, E30, so you can just fill it up with either or, and the tune will automatically adjust for it. But there might be times at the end of the season where you still got some ethanol in the tank and you want to pump it all out and just put fresh pump fuel in it to store for the winter, for example. Or you've been driving it around on pump gas and someone wants to have a go with you and you don't want to race them on E60 or E40, you want to race them on full E85, and you might just want to pump the tank out real quick and fill it up with full ethanol. So it makes everything a little bit simpler for the end user. So we'll start off with another 20 liters of E98 and see where that gets us. I'm thinking it should get us pretty close to where we want to be. But sometimes when you have, you know, a dual pump hanger or a surge tank setup, there can be a little bit more fuel left in the system than you'd expect. So you might put 20 liters in it after pumping the tank, after flushing it, and you still might not have the ethanol content where you want it to be. So Austin's running a big ETS front mount, process west intake manifold. He's running the Killer B Holy Header along with a Pulsar 6466. It should be capable of making 800 wheel range, and he's got a lot of really good supporting mods to help it breathe. It shouldn't just fall off up top. It should hold on really nice up top. So should be able to make 800-ish, hopefully, on E85. It's running a Link ECU, fuel pressure sending unit, oil pressure base rev limiter. We're running oil temp into the ECU, CAN keypad for pump and fan overrides, different launch control levels, boost levels, rolling anti-lag, all the bits on this one. Should be running about 45 pounds of boost by the time we're done, if the spring will let us get there. We're also running ID2600 injectors. So I like tuning with the ID injectors. They give you lots of good data and they just seem to work really well. I'm running the 2600s in my race car, and just about every car where we're making, you know, 200 wheel horsepower plus a hole, we're running ID2600s in it. All right, so right now our ethanol percentage is only showing 12%, but we haven't primed the pump and pushed it through the ethanol content sensor yet. So I'm gonna prime the pump. And now our ethanol content's reading 86% right now, 87%. So right there, looks like it's settling out around E78, E79. We're just running the pump to circulate that ethanol through. I'll probably fire it up now that it knows about where we're at. Should fire up decent. Within 2% right now on a cold start. Coldish. We'll give it a minute to get up to temp and we'll be able to do a pull. Yeah, our ethanol content right now is 89%. I'm okay with that. I should have enough injector to run it at E98, E89. So that's our first pull on E89. I took some timing out of it and it still made 640 to the wheels. So that's a good start. We are already running into a little bit of an issue here where the fuel pressure is dropping off. I noticed right away our injector duty cycle was like 77, 78, 80%, which is way higher than it should be at this power level. And starting at about 6,000 RPM, our fuel pressure is actually dropping off. So I think what we're gonna do is have a quick look at his Hob switch setup and ensure that his second fuel pump's coming on, because he's fitted with 2 Hellcat pumps. And my guess is maybe only one of them's working right now. So one nice thing to note is even though our fuel pressure was dropping off, on our very first pull on E85, our air fuels were within 1% of our target. Regardless of the fuel pressure falling off, because on this car we're running fuel pressure compensation or differential fuel pressure compensation. So it's fitted with a fuel pressure sensor, and when the fuel pressure drops, it increases the injector duty cycle accordingly to keep everything on target and happy. And that's exactly what it's done here. If it wasn't fitted with that, the engine would have ran lean under boost, and I would have had to have been watching the air fuels closely enough, or I'm actually running a Lambda Protection as well. But regardless, the car would have risked running lean, right? And in this case, it stayed perfectly on target, even though the fuel pressure started to taper off. So I will call Austin really quick and find out how he's got this wired up. Hey, not too bad. I think your secondary pump may not be coming on. How do you have that wired up? Do you have any idea where it might be set at for boost pressure? I'll just check it over, make sure it's working the way it's supposed to, and go from there. First pull on E85 was 640 wheel on like 24 pounds. So that was with some timing taken out of it too. So it looks like it's gonna hold, you know, power well. It started to flatten out horsepower wise at 6,500. Yeah, And you have it attached to a ground, correct? The one, you have it go from up by the battery down to the seat belt bolt? Okay, perfect. Okay, I will see if I can get her sorted here, man. Hopefully it's just the second pump not coming on. That's what it seems like to me. So, yeah. Losing fuel pressure at 600 on a Hellcat pump, that kind of checks out. So I think we're probably just out of pump. I don't think this will be too hard to figure out. The only trick is, to test it, we're gonna have to put the battery back in. Well, it'll only take us a second to see if this second pump's working. Let's jump this connector, and we can actually reach it from outside the fender here, so we can pop the battery back in quickly and test it out. I don't hear any secondary coming on. There's definitely no change when jumping the secondary pump. We'll get in the trunk, have a look there. Looks like most of the clips are already out of here. Should make it easier. There's our problem right there. Sometimes guys will add a second pump and forget to put the fuse in for it. No fuse in for the secondary. Austin might have one in his car even if I give him a quick ring again. Hey, you got an extra fuse in your car somewhere? There we go. We have a working secondary pump, sir. Really, we've probably spent in total 30 minutes diagnosing and fixing a fuel system issue. Whereas if we didn't have that sensor, we might not have gone up with the boost yet and might not have even noticed that our fuel pressure was dropping off a little bit. So by having a fuel pressure sending unit, it can save you a lot of trouble. The biggest thing about the Link ECU is all the safety features, which we've already demonstrated. I like the differential fuel pressure compensation. It's running Lambda Protection and it's running oil pressure based rev limiter. I can only look at so many things at a time when I'm doing a dyno pull on a car. And I like knowing that it's all good, because if this thing runs lean at wide open throttle, it's gonna stop the car from, it's gonna cut. If it runs low on oil pressure during a pull, it's gonna cut. I like keeping it safe, and if the fuel pressure is dropping a little bit, it's still gonna stay on target as long as it's got available injector. You know, it's just really great peace of mind when you're making this kind of power, right? Whereas if you're running a stock ECU, you can get the fuel pressure compensation, and that's really about it as far as the safeties go. So this car is also running, you know, it doesn't have TGVs. It's not running a catalytic converter. You know, there's a lot of things that are being done with this car that you'd want to have a standalone anyways if you were doing it. So when you're making lots of power, it's definitely worth the money, because if this thing was running lean or having an issue on the road, you know, it could have already saved itself an engine basically. So definitely worth the money. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's the way to go. Do it right the first time to reach your goals. And given that this guy's goal is 800 plus wheel horsepower, and he's planning on, you know, doing a ton of modifications to the electrical system on the car and all kinds of different sensors and monitors and safeties, it makes the standalone the way to go for it, for sure. I'm just gonna check our fuel pressure and see what it did. We tried a little bit more ignition advance to see if it would like it. and it picked up about 20 wheel horsepower, which, considering, you know, which really isn't much for 2 degrees at this boost level. So we're probably very close on what it wants for timing. And we'll just check our fuel pressure here. Our injector duty cycle's down about 15%. So it definitely seems like we've fixed our fuel pressure problem. Yeah, so here you can see where our secondary pump comes on. Just as it's coming into boost, right at about 13 pounds of boost, the secondary pump comes on. You can see a little bump in the differential fuel pressure. And then it holds 3.3 bar differential fuel pressure, so about 48 psi differential right until we finish the pull. 7,800 RPM. I think we're going to play with it here for a little bit, actually, because I think it's going to want different variable valve timing. This thing's spooling like crazy. It's hitting like 25 pounds of boost by 4,000 RPM today, which for a 64-66 is pretty rowdy. Right here, the white line is the fuel pressure on this pole, and the peach here is from our last run. You can see it was holding okay, and then it really fell off right here about 6,200 RPM, 6,000 RPM. This time the fuel pressure held just fine. And you can see without any changes to the volumetric efficiency, you know, we're running the same boost pressure. Our air fuels are pretty much perfectly on target right through the pole. I got a little bit of a rich spot right at the start, but fuel pressure or not, we were bang on target. So that's differential fuel pressure compensation doing its job. Okay. Really, I just want to put some fresh 300V in it before we turn it up. I sleep better if I'm running fresh 300V in my car when I'm spinning it really high, so I'll sleep better if I'm doing the same with the customer's car. We're going to jack it up a little bit because with the IAG competition pan and how low this car is, it's a little too low to get the drain pan underneath of it. So we're going to jack the front end up a little bit, throw a drain pan underneath of it, drain the oil out of it, fresh filter, fresh 300V, and then fire it up, check the level again, and turn it up. So 300V is an ester-based oil, and ester-based oil has more consistent strand length. Typically, from my understanding of it, it's better for really high heat. It doesn't change its viscosity as much as standard synthetic oil with heat, and it doesn't break down in heat. You know, it's the kind of oil that's used in jet turbine engines, so it's pretty badass stuff. It's supposed to have really good film strength as well. Smell it. the closed loop control needs some adjustments. So it's hunting the target, right? So I'm just changing some of the PID settings so our closed loop boost control is going to work properly. I'm using the same settings that I used on a similar combo, but clearly it isn't that similar. So we're going to give it a little attention and should have some nice smooth boost control within a couple of runs, I think. Still needs a little attention, but at least it's not oscillating all over the place. A couple more tweaks, a little more derivative gain. Keep the brakes on before we hit target. I think we'll probably give it a little rest. I think it's time to go up with the boost again. How's it going, Austin? I haven't really loaded it up heavy yet.
Yeah.
But we're like 740 on 30 pounds.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So
Nice.
So like it might make, like on 40 pounds, it might make 840 or something like that, you know? Like it looks like it's working good. We might have to just do a little log when it's back. Well, we're going to log it on pump gas anyways.
Yeah.
I changed the cam timing a little bit once I got it on the E85.
Yeah.
I think because it was spooling earlier, it wanted it a little different. And I was able to pick up like a good little chunk from like under 6,000 RPM.
Yeah.
I had it dialed on the pump gas, but I think with the higher boost and a little more push behind the turbo with the E85,
yeah,
it just was happy taking the cam advance out of it a little faster.
Okay, sweet. What's it coming in at? Ish.
I'm hitting, let's see here, 30 pounds at 4,500 RPM.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Like it's working really good. As I went up with the boost, the boost control is going wild. So this is a little more sensitive on the boost control side, which just is what it is. A little bit different setup.
Is there any reason for that specifically?
I don't know. Every setup's a little different.
Setup's a bit different.
Yeah. Even solenoids can be a little bit different, so it's hard to say. I'm also in the worst control range of the solenoid. So solenoids are like injectors where they have a dead time.
Yeah.
You know, and typically when you're opening, that's kind of like 10% range. Then as soon as you get to say 15% wastegate duty cycle, then it does something.
Okay.
So
yes. Where some like small increments make big differences.
Yeah.
Sometimes bigger increments
so
make small
as soon as I start going up from here, like 35 pounds of boost, it'll probably be easier to have the boost control bang on than 30 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it'll be in the linear range of the solenoid.
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're just on the edge of the linear range, so it takes a little more work to get it dialed.
Yeah.
Going to start going up with the boost a little bit more. We're happy with sport mode. That's like 33 pounds. And we're going to go up a few more pounds and see where we end up. And we should be able to make 40 pounds on this turbo, so. Creeping rich as the boost goes up. So it's killing our power. That was more boost anyways. a little fat under 7,000. It was fat, and you can see that on the graph.
That's where that dip is?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Austin, the owner of the car here. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Adam, here at AFR Autoworks, and they absolutely killed it today. I got to see the car absolutely rip on the dyno. It made 835 and 630. I can't thank this man enough. He is a wizard on the keyboard. If you need anything at all, contact AFR Autoworks, talk to Adam.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you want to see more like this, like and subscribe, and comment below.
Another 800 horsepower car coming out of AFR. Let's go.